Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with a viewer's favourite on the channel. We're back with the breaking Wrexham AFC transfer news today. We've got plenty of strikers to be talking about. We're going to be looking at the players that are out on loan. We're going to be looking at possible departures at Wrexham as we go ever closer to that deadline of the 24-25 transfer window. And before we get going in today's video, if you would like to see more Wrexham AFC content on YouTube, of course, make sure to get down there, click the red subscribe button. We've hit 25k, which I cannot thank you enough for that. We're on the road to 26k and eventually, hopefully, we could hit that big 30k. So any support if you're new, like I said, looking for all the best content coming up for the 24-25 season, this is the place to be. And if you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the first link in the description below. So we're going to be kicking things off, of course, with a striker. If you haven't seen already, that we have been linked with a lot of strikers going into the final few days of the transfer window, and one that we've been linked with is Sheffield Wednesday striker Michael Smith. Now, this has been long-lasting speculation that Phil Parkinson does hold an interest in signing the experienced Championship striker, of course, Michael Smith. With it being likely that Smith will leave Sheffield Wednesday in the upcoming days of the transfer window, the manager has said that Smith is likely to leave the Owls. So will he make the move to Derby, where he's worked really well before under Paul Warne as the manager at Rotherham United at the time when he did perform? So there's a lot of questions regarding this possible signing. And Sheffield Wednesday, with Smith having 1 year left on his contract, will want to cash in, get as much money as they can and avoid losing him on a free in the summer. So let's start things off by doing a Michael Smith profile. Michael Smith is an experienced 32-year-old striker who's spent the past 10 seasons playing in the EFL, playing for the likes of Rotherham United, Swindon Town, Barnsley, and of course recently Sheffield Wednesday. Smith, in his spell in the EFL, has played 257 games, recording 104 goals and assists. To be precise, 75 of those were goals for Michael Smith, so he's a proven goal scorer at this level. He's done it across all three leagues, and he's experienced, of course, in League 2, League 1 and the Championship. He's adapted really well to all three of the leagues in the EFL. And I think an important thing for people watching at home to know is the fact that Michael Smith is a target man. He will be one of those Ollie Palmer, Stephen Fletcher type signings, which I think we do need. Standing at 6'3" and being a really physical presence up top, it makes you question, do Wrexham need another target man? A lot of you out there will probably be saying no due to the options that we do have and depth in that target man role. In my opinion, I think we do. I'm going to say it. I do think we do need another striker. You look at Ollie Palmer, he is the favourite target man choice so far for Phil Parkinson, featuring in all the games so far. You've got Stephen Fletcher, who's used as that impact sub. He's unlikely to start unless we do have an injury up front. Sam Dolby, minutes are looking very unlikely for Dolby this season, and if we bring Smith in, it will probably mean a loan move out for Sam Dolby, whether it be in the National League or League 2. So factoring all those situations regarding players in, I think this is a no-brainer. I think we should be looking at bringing a Michael Smith type player in the last couple of days of the transfer window, and it would be an unbelievable addition to that striker role. And I think something really important and something quite exciting to note is the fact that in the last 2 seasons that Michael Smith has spent in League 1, he has scored 46 goals across the 2 seasons, being a real ever-present in the teams that he's spent in League 1 over the past 2 seasons, playing 103 games and of course scoring that 46 goals. So you can look at Parkin, say he's making aging signings, which I think has not really been the case this season, but if you're still saying that, you know, this is a silly signing because he's 32 years old, you've got to look at this. You've got to look at the experience he would bring to this team, his goal-scoring record, his attributes. This would be a no-brainer if we had the opportunity to sign Michael Smith, and it's looking likely that he will leave Sheffield Wednesday, but of course it's a question, does Phil Parkinson want him that much that we're going to put in a really sufficient bid that will bring him to the Racecourse? And I can only imagine the service that he would provide to, you know, the likes of Paul Mullin, Jack Marriott, who are playing up front, holding the ball up well, getting those flick-ons, just being a real presence in the air from set pieces as well. So I talked about attributes a couple of moments ago. These are the attributes that he would bring to this Wrexham team, and of course he'd bring that Championship League 1 quality into that front line and add even more quality than what we do already have. Now, will it happen? Will the signing of Michael Smith to Wrexham happen? This news broke about 2 weeks ago, and Smith, since Wrexham had been linked with him, I think it was after the first game of the season that Wrexham was set to have interest in Michael Smith. Since the interest broke out, Smith has featured in all the games for Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship so far, even getting on the score sheet on the first day of the season at home to Plymouth Argyle. So it's definitely an interesting situation, one that I would definitely worth say keep your eye on. And of course, like I said, with it being a matter of days until the transfer window does end, would this be a signing that would be too complicated to do? The day's Wednesday now, I think the transfer window ends Sunday. Is it a deal that you could get that quickly across the line? Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. And the next striker that we are going to be talking about, the next striker that has got some legs about it, the rumours have got some legs behind it, is that Wrexham are considering making a late swoop for West Brom striker Mo Faal on a permanent transfer, with League One side Barnsley also interested in securing his services. Now, a bit about Mo Faal as a striker. He's 21 years old, so completely different to what we have been linked with previously with Michael Smith. He's 11 years younger and he's a homegrown player to the Baggies, West Bromwich Albions, and since breaking into the first team, Mo Faal has had spells on loan at Hereford, Telford, Fylde, and even 2 separate spells in League 2 last year for Doncaster Rovers and Walsall. You might remember if you were at the Racecourse ground, if you were watching on iFollow last season, Mo Faal did get on the score sheet in our 2-1 win at home to Doncaster Rovers last year, doing a really weird snake celebration, so I don't know what that was about. But you look at Mo Faal, you look at the past 2 seasons, he's had 4 loan spells. It's only a matter of time until he does decide to leave West Brom on a permanent, because it's clear to see first team opportunities are looking very, very limited for him. And looking at Mo Faal, he stands at a whopping 6'5", and looking more into the type of player that he is, it doesn't seem that he's mostly utilised as a target man. Having watched his performance against Wrexham, looking at the extended highlights, he's a player that really likes to drop in deep, get the ball, go forward with the ball, good movement, and just seemed really good technically with the ball at his feet. A great first touch, a good eye for goal, and you know, these stats back it up. 49 successful dribbles, 1,216 touches on the ball, 136 duels won, which of course is something else that complements his really good play with the ball at his feet, and of course 13 goals last season across the 23-24 season. So I think this is definitely a really good up-and-coming striker that is ready for that new challenge away from West Bromwich Albion. I think a new home is needed for Mo Faal, where he's definitely going to get a really good consistent run of games, because a lot of people seem to be really raving and speaking highly of Mo Faal. So is this a signing that Wrexham should be looking to get done across the line? This would probably mean a higher end 6-figure fee, if not maybe a 7-figure fee, £1 million plus, because he's 21, he showed really promising signs last season. And looking at West Brom fans' reaction to the news that he could possibly be leaving the club, they seem like they wanted to keep him, or at least have a buyback clause in Mo Faal's contract if he is to move elsewhere permanently, because he's shown some promising signs in that 2-1 defeat to Fleetwood, where he did of course get on the score sheet. So I don't think it's hard to see there's a promising player in Mo Faal, and like I said, I think it would be good for him to get a permanent move away after the shenanigans regarding, you know, his loan spell being cut short last year at Doncaster Rovers, making the switch to Walsall. It was all a bit up in the air last season for Mo Faal, so I think getting a new challenge and a permanent challenge where, you know, he's going to stay for a good couple of years is good for not only him, but of course his career as well. Another striker we are going to be looking at is Bailey Cadamarteri. We spoke about this name before, we've talked about his attributes, so this one's not going to be as long as the Michael Smiths or the Mo Faals, but Wrexham striker target Bailey Cadamarteri is very likely to leave Sheffield Wednesday on loan, but it's a question, is it going to be at the Racecourse ground? So that's one more name we can tick off the transfer deadline list. Bailey Cadamarteri was announced as a Lincoln City player last night on loan from Sheffield Wednesday until the end of the season. So the striker saga continues, the striker mystery continues at Wrexham Football Club regarding who will we sign, will we bring in a striker? We've got more news about Will Keane regarding the situation, and obviously Wrexham had the bid rejected last night of around £750,000. There's a new twist into this transfer saga, and we're going to be talking extra onto this video about a couple of players that could leave Wrexham in the upcoming days. So yeah, like I said, Bailey Cadamarteri has departed Sheffield Wednesday on loan to Lincoln City in the league below Sheffield Wednesday. I think a League One move was always on the cards for Cadamarteri, but Wrexham held strong interest in Cadamarteri, and there were times where you thought he was going to be the striker that was going to come in and not solve our striker problems, but solve the void that some fans thought there might have been in that striker department. But as we've seen, that's one more name to tick off the striker rumour list. Of course, joining Lincoln City, it's a League One move. He's probably going to play against us both times this season. So yeah, another bit on Will Keane. Of course, I did a whole video yesterday. You can check that out on my channel. We had a £750,000 bid rejected for the experienced striker. It doesn't look positive that Will Keane will be making the switch over to North Wales in this transfer window. Preston North End have now opened talks with Will Keane to get him to extend his contract at Preston. So I think if we're looking at this from the outside, they haven't received the bid they wanted for Will Keane. And Paul Heckingbottom, obviously, he's just come in. He obviously sees Keane as part of his plans, wants to get him tied down, and it almost seems now that it's very unlikely that Will Keane will join Wrexham, because Heckingbottom, he's got promotion to the Premier League before just a couple of seasons ago with Sheffield United. It's a fresh project. If he's part of Preston's plans in the Championship and he's going to be a regular in their starting 11, then I don't think this is a situation where money can bring Will Keane down to Wrexham. And of course, I've seen all your feedback on the latest video saying that he's too old and stuff, but I can understand in a way that you'd want to go for a younger striker that can guarantee you more years ahead of him, and I can understand in a way that £750,000 would have been a lot, but in regards to bringing someone in that's experienced in this division, people are looking at his latest stats, 1 goal in 22 games, which, yes, it's true, it's there, it's on paper, the facts are there, but you've got to look at his previous record. I'm sure there's a reason as to why he wasn't scoring, and a fresh start away at Wrexham, an ambitious project, a good group of players would have probably brought the best out of him, but he's probably not going to come to Wrexham. Yeah, and a word on the loan players now, and there is a couple that have been rumoured to leave Wrexham on loan. Of course, you've got the obvious ones. Billy Waters is bound to leave Wrexham, and I'm very surprised that a deal hasn't been struck already to send Billy Waters out on loan to possibly a League 2 side or a National League side so far. You know, we're very late into the transfer window now, and it sort of seems as if, will a deal actually be done, or will Billy Waters stay with Wrexham until the January transfer window? That'll definitely be an interesting situation. Of course, Bickerstaff, there's a whole host of League 2 clubs that are interested in signing Jake Bickerstaff, so it's a question of, will he leave as well? I thought a deal would have been struck for him really earlier on in the transfer window as well, but it seems to be that this is dragging on. We're starting to think now, will these players actually leave Wrexham? And the latest person to be linked with a move away is Will Boyle, the man that only signed last summer. I thought he had a decent-ish season in League 2 last year, but a couple of people are saying he could be sent out on loan, which is definitely an interesting situation. Personally, I think Will Boyle really came into his own in the last few games of last season. I still think he could be a good player in this squad, but he's obviously someone that isn't favoured at the club at the minute with the new signings that have come in, so that's definitely an interesting one. I did not expect Will Boyle to be on the loan list. And someone else I think is definitely worth keeping an eye on is Jacob Mendy. Now, in my opinion, I don't think Mendy will go. This could be an outside shot at a player to leave out on loan, but you know, you've got that left-hand side now, you've got James McElhenney, you've got Seb Revan. They're two very good players, two players that have had really good starts to the season. And of course, Mendy, if I'm right in saying, I think he might have been out with injury so far. I could be wrong on that one, but he hasn't had the nod in yet. He's played for the reserves against Stoke City the other day, so could this point towards a move away from Wrexham for Jacob Mendy? We really don't know. Of course, we've seen he's a bit injury-prone last season, so could he be another player that needs to go out on loan, get that fresh full season under his belt and possibly come back to Wrexham? Because we know there is a good player in Jacob Mendy. Now, a few of you have recommended this, that I do an academy and reserve update for Wrexham, so here it is. The under-18s Wrexham Academy have got off to a brilliant start to their season so far. 2 out of 2 wins, 1-0 versus Lincoln City and a 3-0 win against Accrington Stanley. And of course, they recently suffered a 4-3 defeat to Bolton Wanderers, where they nearly made a really good comeback in the Development League Cup, of course, to Bolton Wanderers. So they've got off to a really good start to the season. Let's see if they can continue that good run of form, because we know there is a good couple of players in the youth academy that are probably going to make a breakthrough into the first team in the next couple of seasons. And the reserves, I think there's definitely a couple of things to talk about of the reserves. The reserves have only played 1 game so far this season. They got off to a good start, beating Championship side Stoke City reserves in a 3-2 win, which saw Jake Bickerstaff score all 3 goals. So Bickerstaff got a hat-trick in that game. I think the most notable thing to point out in this game was the amount of first team players that there were in that team. Anthony Ford, Jacob Mendy, Jake Bickerstaff and Billy Waters. So is that a slight indication as to the players that could possibly be leaving Wrexham FC on loan? Ford, I can't see Ford leaving. I don't think I can see Anthony Ford leaving this transfer window. Mendy, yes. Bickerstaff, yes. Billy Waters, yes. So could that be an indication to the players that could possibly be leaving the club? And of course, you're looking at Stoke City. Daniel Johnson was featuring for them, a player Wrexham reportedly had interested in last summer. Andrew Vidigal and Lewis Baker. So they had a few first teamers playing for Stoke City. It's a very good win. It was a battling win for the reserves. And looking at our loanees now, we've of course seen Jordan Davis has been really performing well for Grimsby Town in League 2. He scored that brilliant brace against Cheltenham Town the other week, where our former captain Luke Young did score. He put that free kick in the top corner in the last minute, but unfortunately did suffer that injury against Notts County. And looking at Luke McNicholas as well, he seems to be having a good string of games. He's the starter for Rochdale in the National League, which of course is really good to see. It's good to see these loanees actually starting and playing every game. So yeah, that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below which one of these strikers on this list would you like to see. In my opinion, I'd love to see Mo Faal come to Wrexham. It'd be something different, something exciting. But of course, I'd always love to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. Make sure to drop a like. Make sure to subscribe, as we're on the road to 26,000 subscribers. I'll see you in another video, hopefully when we make that striker signing. Until then, take care guys. Up the town.